Hypocrisy.
Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to Law-Splaining the Interwebs. I am your host, Nick Ricada of Ricada Law, a small law firm in central Minnesota. How we doing, guys? Welcome to the show. Sort of late notice, you know, all that good stuff. We've got, well, it's Tuesday. Everybody hates Mondays, but everybody forgets to hate Tuesdays a little harder. Because Mondays are the start of the week. They're like, oh, yeah, the weekend was cool. It's like that's how you operate or whatever. The weekend was cool, but now you got to go back to work or whatever. So they hate Mondays. It's like the kickoff of things. You got to redo all that shit that you did kind of getting ready for the week last Monday. It all cycles over, right? We've decided to organize the world in the same rough 7-day cycle for a lot of people. But Tuesdays are worse in a weird way because Monday's over, but at least Monday matters. Like it's the beginning. Tuesday's like the forgotten thing, the leftover. It's like the mashed potatoes that are crusted to the bottom of the pot because your grandmother doesn't know how to cook and left it on for too long. Like, oh, it's just simmering. It's like you don't simmer potatoes on medium high, grandma. What are you doing? They just get baked onto the bottom. It's just nasty. And they're like, oh, it's like hash browns. Like, you're going in a home. You're going in a home. So anyway, hi. How goes it? Yeah, so we've got a little bit of a different, different theme tonight. We've got, I'm calling him Unbreaded stories because I'm not creative. But we're going to use Matthew C. Harris to cleanse ourselves of the stories we're going to read tonight. Some cursed legal stories from around the world. Kevin Spacey has let one of his accusers live long enough to go to trial. So that's nice. It was interesting. This is in the UK court system where Kevin Spacey has actually been found not guilty criminally under the UK courts. I don't know if they applied Somali immigrant law to him or whatever, but he was able to beat all of the sexual assault charges over there in the criminal courts, but he's going to civil trial. And apparently he missed a crucial date in his in the procedure. Filing a document was missed. And so the judge is going to award the judgment to the plaintiff. His lawyers come in and say, hey, this is our bad. He actually had nothing to do with it, and he shouldn't suffer for our stupid mistake. Please, let's let this thing go to trial. Let's actually hear the case out, especially when you consider that a jury found him not guilty of criminal charges. Maybe we should give him the benefit of the doubt and at least let him go argue his case in the civil trial. So Spacey gets to do that. That's there. We've got some female teacher stories. I don't know what it is about this, but female public school teachers, they just seem to have no control over their mouths and hands and labias or whatever, because they're always touching kids and getting charged and convicted of it constantly. And you're just is this more prevalent or is it just a more frequent story because it's salacious? It sells. People are oh, is the teacher hot or whatever? Did the kid enjoy it? They got all these things, but I just look at them all and go, well, all in all, you're just another brick in the wall. So they have to go, right? That's my thing. You got to go. Not only are you a predator, but you're a government employed predator, which is worse. And then you're a government employed predator in charge of children's prison, also known as public school, which is worse. Because constitutional rights are curtailed in public schools, they say they're not. They say the constitutional rights are the same in a public school as they are outside of a public school. But, and as we know, just like when a elementary school teacher looks at an 11-year-old, everything after the butt doesn't matter. Before the butt, everything before the butt doesn't matter. And they go, but your constitutional rights while they apply and are as important, they only apply insofar as they don't interfere with the safe execution of a public school's duty. And the duty of a public school is to provide a safe learning environment for children that is conducive to distributing government propaganda, also known as education. So, like, you have a Fourth Amendment right, but they can search your lockers basically at will. If they have any belief that what's in a locker might interfere with the safe administration of a school day. You have a First Amendment right insofar as it's not interfering with the effective distribution of government propaganda. All of that. So it's like you have constitutional rights, but they're effectively useless because everything that's a right exists because the government would use it against you. And they predicted it. So they're like, well, they have a right to speech, but, well, yeah. And I'm not talking about like they have a right to interrupt a teacher or something. Like, you can understand disciplinarian measures to keep a classroom flowing. But it's about like the actual content of the speech that they use, the words that they use, the themes and ideas. Those things can be used against children, and it becomes a direct infringement on First Amendment rights. Same with assembly and all that shit as well. So those rights get curtailed immediately, and they're not rights at all. They're allowances. They're allowances by the school, and they end up being prior restraint allowances. So they're de facto disfavored, but they are given special dispensation, like a permit to protest or whatever. It's like, why do you need a permit to exercise your right of peaceable assembly? Well, because the city wants a permit for you so they know what's going on. I think they'll find out when a mob of people show up. Anyway, when you factor all that in, these kids are, one, they're minors. Two, they have no agency over their school day. Three, their constitutional rights are curtailed. And four, they're surrounded by pedophiles who like to touch all of them. And five, those pedophiles are often protected by school districts. We get into a situation where these are some of the worst people that can exist. And maybe they shouldn't. I don't know. Is it like against community guidelines to suggest that pedophiles should be, executed immediately upon conviction? I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it is or not. So I'm just asking the questions, the hard questions. We're not going to follow that. And then we've got, this goes into the theme of schools as well. Trans athletes being invincible. There was a recent track and field event, and I know female track and field is hilarious, but there was a female track and field event, and a trans athlete came in called like Gozar the Gozerian and starts fucking destroying everything. And all of the actual ones were like, it's a shot put. So like all these 90-pound high schoolers, like, and they walk up there, and they step into the little circle, and then they just walk out. I was describing myself doing the shot put in gym class, but these like 130-pound butch chicks go in, and they're going to throw the shot put, and they step into the circle, and they just walk out, and they protest. So they all fault and lose, and the trans that was going to win wins automatically by forfeit. But I mean, it was a forfeiture from birth. The second fate decided that thing was going to become a different thing, and then enter the sporting event, they won. They got the trophy then. And so they did this. Well, now, of course, the students all get punished because you can't protest a trans. You can't. You cannot even remember that whole First Amendment thing. It's the content of the speech. Protesting a trans athlete in female sports. Why can female students not protest what they consider to be a distinct unfair advantage to someone else? I mean, I think everybody forgets what protests are. Protests nowadays are expected to be, listen to us because we're loud and obnoxious. And that's not how protests work. Protests work. Peaceable assembly, civil disobedience, nonviolent civil disobedience, all of this stuff works because there's sacrifice, because there's loss. Going and forfeiting at the sporting event that you worked and trained for, that's loss. If they just went and said, no trans or whatever, and didn't do it, and they all competed, that's not competed. If they all did that, that's not loss. They're not giving up anything. They're just, they might be giving up their future or whatever, especially if they post it on Twitter, because they're going to get, executed by the state at some point, but they're not giving up what they worked for. They're not losing anything. Same with like a lot of college protesters who go to these campuses and they're like, okay, well, you're protesting at this school about slavery or whatever, but this school is literally an anti-slave, like an anti-black school and a pro-white school forever. And all of the like founding halls are named after prominent slave owners. Why are you here? And they're like, well, I deserve to be here though. We just want to change the school. It's like, but you're supporting the institution that does this. And like, well, yeah, but I should win. Well, why? Because I'm talking. And that's the attitude that protesters have. But these high school kids are actually doing it right because they're losing. They would have lost anyway, but they're losing and giving up their opportunity to even compete and like maybe do a personal best or improve themselves or show off to their friends and family because that's the only people who show up to those things. And they give up that opportunity to make their voice heard. That's what makes protest meaningful. It's the danger of loss, the risk element. If you have no risk, you haven't made a point. So we're going to talk about that as well. I have some other stories that are in there. I don't know. But time to give up on the comb over. Why would I give up on the comb over? It's served me so well till now. Tonight I meant to do a whiskey review the other night, but I didn't want to open the show with it. And so I got like sidetracked and didn't do it. I just drank like normal, which is cool, but I didn't actually do the whiskey review. So I got this whiskey today. This is the Kilchoman Sandegg. I feel like I've done a whiskey review on this before, but we're going to do another one because I forgot what I said. So for whiskey reviews, I have a 4-step process that I definitely stole from a guy online whose name I don't remember, but he was very charming and endearing in it. So it definitely wasn't me or the quartering. But it was an old, I think a Scotsman. I think he's like a distiller somewhere. You guys have seen it. He's got like the Glencairn glass and he like swirls it and like throws the whiskey around or whatever. Very dramatic. But it's a 4-step process for drinking whiskey. Okay. So you get in the glass, you let it open up its legs or whatever. So you get the nice aroma. And you're going to go through these 4 steps. I'm going to describe them before I go through them. And this is really for new whiskey drinkers. If you're a professional whiskey drinker like me, you don't taste anything but sadness when you drink. So you don't have to go through these steps. But if you're a new whiskey drinker, all that like fire and smoke and the very overpowering alcohol flavors can be really intimidating if you're a bitch. And if you're a bitch, you need to do this. Like I was a bitch when I started too. It's not your fault. You're just as weak as I am. And when you start, very self-deprecating. When you're starting out, though, seriously, with whiskey, when you're starting out, those flavors can be very harsh and overpowering. And if you don't prep your mouth for it, you know, it might not be the most enjoyable experience. Asked August Ames. Oh, wait, I think she died. So first things first, get it in the glass. You can use a rocks glass like this. You can use a Glencairn glass. Those are really good for Scotch. Well, they're good for all whiskeys. There's all sorts of glasses you can use. They're all going to be the same. First step, shove your giant schnoz all the way into this glass. Get in there. Smell the smells of the whiskey. This is going to prep your olfactory nerves to not be burned out the second that thing hits your mouth and comes up the back of your nose. You want to give them a little warm up first. Give them a little tickle so that they open up to what's coming, because you need that. You need that to happen. Then what you're going to do is I'm going to describe the next 3 sips, but I'm going to have whiskey in my mouth when I do it, so I don't want to like blurb it all over the place. The next step is to take a good sized sip of the whiskey, let it sit in your mouth, let it sit on your tongue, let it roll down the sides of your tongue, go under, get your whole mouth coated in whiskey, because you want all of the activation of all the different taste buds that you have. You want to see what the whiskey does. Some of them are very interactive and very interesting as they hit different places. And then you're going to swallow hard. You're not a quitter. So you're going to put that bad boy down. As it goes down, you're going to appreciate like any burn that's there, or if it's smooth, what happens when it goes down. You're going to have different tastes in all of these experiences. And then finally, you slowly breathe out. And that's your 4th one. And the reason I say to do this is, again, not because some guy on the internet said to, which is why you'll do it, but because that guy on the internet made me think of an interesting point. Some of these things are fucking old, right? Some of these things are too old for Biden to touch. And when that happens, you realize that some guy nursed a barrel of whiskey for like 15, 16, 20 years. Depends on how old it is. I mean, if it's a bourbon, it's maybe a toddler. But it could be a really old bourbon as well. Some guy sat there and tested this thing every couple months to make sure it was the right flavor profile, when all it was this like gross sludge of burning gasoline. And he still knew what it was supposed to taste like. And he gets the right barrels in the right places to make the right products. Because distilleries have obviously a variety of products. Some of them merit extra aging. Some of them are their garbage. Like some of them are Jack Daniels, and you just don't care what happens to them. But someone made all of that experience happen. And I like to appreciate things that people put craftsmanship into. So there's your 4-step whiskey process. I'm going to do this to give you the worst whiskey review ever. Kilchoman is a Scotch. It's an Islay Scotch. It's, I believe, which means it's probably peaty and smoky. Yeah, it's an Islay single malt Scotch. And it's got some bourbon and sherry cask influence on both sides. So here we go. See, this smells kind of like earthy. You get a little bit of the smoke right out. The peat is like very grassy and thick, but it's not like it's not super alcoholic. It's not a high octane Scotch. All right, so delicious. First thing, delicious. As it hits your mouth, it lights up. Very like that burning sensation, like gonorrhea spreads all over, hits your tongue, hits your throat, hits your cheeks, hits your uvula, dangles on it a little bit. And then as you swallow down, you really get the peat and like the grass and the dirt and the grit. And then the smoke comes up as you breathe out. And it's really fucking pleasant. Honestly, if you like a smoky whiskey, this is great. It does have that bit of sour sting that Scotches tend to have right on the front end. Sour in the front, smoky in the back. Just like Caitlyn Jenner. Can you snort it like cocaine? Probably. Have you ever tried snorting whiskey? I may or may not have tried. God, that's gotta hurt though. Jesus. Just thinking about that, like, oh, that burning sensation in your fucking nostrils and like in your brain and eyes. Damn. But yeah, it's a good fucking whiskey. And this is not a terribly expensive Scotch. I think it comes in around 70 bucks, something like that. So strong recommend, especially if you like smoke. Catch that smoke, catch these hands. All right, let's get into the main stories here. We have a couple chats. C. Goody, 41 months as a member. Wow. That's a long relationship, C. Goody. That's a long time. You should have to pay your, your government registration fees multiple times there. He says, shout out to Drake and alleged Map Gang OVO. In before Drake sues Kendrick Lamar because he claimed he's a pedo a la Montegraph. Wait, so Kendrick Lamar called Drake a pedophile? I just can't keep up with these black people, especially rappers. They talk too fast and in rhyme. And it just, like, it's hard to follow. If they talked like bankers, I'd be able to understand them better. You ever worked with a black guy at a bank? Like, not like a white black guy. You know what I mean? Like, not like a white collar black guy, but like a normal black guy. Like the hilarious ones that we all know and love. I think it's awesome. I love working with them at banks because like everybody comes in, all the white employees and like the couple Asians who are counting the money in the back, and everybody's standing around and they're talking and they're using like proper syllables and stuff. And then like the black guy comes in and he's the coolest guy in the bank because banks are full of fucking nerds, and everybody likes him. They're like, "Oh, what's up, Rashad?" And he's like, "Yeah, how's it going, guys? What's happening? Why are you 22 minutes late? Don't even ask, brother." Like, had to find a bike first. What do you mean, in your garage? Yep. And so they show up, and seriously, they're the most lovable employees because bank people are annoying and boring. Trust me, I'm one of them. All right, but that being said, yeah, I had no idea. I think I read something about Kendrick Lamar and Drake, and I was like, God, basketball is weird now. I honestly couldn't, like, I don't follow these stories. I need to talk to Lead Attorney or AV to the Seventh Power because they follow those cultural stories better than I do. I don't know how to say that without sounding super offensive, but like, I don't actually mean cultural race stories. Like, that would have been ethnic and that would have been funny. But like Emily D. Baker does this too. I'm so removed from pop culture these days. I don't listen to new music or watch new movies or new TV. I actually don't do any of that at all. I just sing karaoke and sit in my bed all day, every day. Except that's a lie. I'm out driving, kids around, and never fucking home. But that being said, I don't follow new stuff. I just listen to the same shit I listened to in high school, which is a lot of like Stained and Rage Against the Machine, Static X, and a bunch of dead people. Like Drowning Pool, Let the Bodies Hit the Floor. When he did, it cratered. All right, here we go. That was a fat guy. Oh, wait, shit. There was, I swear. All right. Here we are. God damn it. Yeah, I thought so. Some chats came in that are not showing up over here. Fucking weirding me out. Let me get these pulled up. Hey, Legal Vices. He says, Sandegg is one of my favorite Islay Scotch whiskeys. Kilkeman's Mackyer Bay is another fine one. Yeah, they have Mackyer Bay as well. Now get the right damn glass. Drink it out of, you Philistine. Wait, what? Would you drink it out of a Glencairn glass, you bitch? Or are you talking about a giant, like a full size, like a 16-ounce water glass? Just, that's what it should be, right? Let me know. Buckmaster says, Nick, I'm a huge fan. I love you so much. I'm sorry that DSP would think you fell so hard that he can go out of his way to shit on you. Why? Like, that's hilarious. I went out of my way to shit on him. Buckmaster says, Nick, I think DSP doesn't like you because he stole your voice and looks. True. You're so amazing. We love you. Was Kevin Spacey is a pedophile in American Beauty? Kinda. Yeah, I mean, he gets there, right? Except he doesn't actually. That's one of the things. I won't talk about this too much because people get really fucking annoyed when I do. But the main thing is that he transgresses almost all the way. Like, he almost has sex with the girl who might be 17, might be 18. Don't really know. Her age is ambiguous in the film. But either way, it's inappropriate. It's his daughter's friend. She's still in high school. Yada, yada, yada. But he gets to the point where he's about to have sex with her. And then she says she's a virgin. And he's like, he can't do it, right? So he fucks up. But he doesn't execute the thing. And then he dies in like the next scene. Like, that's the whole thing. That's where Kevin Spacey takes, again, liberation, freedom, and this complete shedding of rules too far. That's part of the moral of the movie. You can go too far, you're punished for it. He does. He dies. Really hard. By a gay. Anyway, Grifty says Joe is less than 2,000 away from his 25,000 Gibson Go goal. Link in the chat. Chris Corrette says, hey, Nick, I found your doppelganger. It's a YouTuber called Clint's Reptiles. He might be one of those lizard people. Oh, my God. People who, like, keep whatchamacallit, reptiles. Yeah, they keep, like, exotic animals. I don't understand it. It's not, like, a sad thing for me. Or, like, sorry, sad thing. It's not, like, a thing that I disapprove of, is what I mean. Like, it's admirable that they keep these animals and care about them. I just can't bring myself to do that. Cannot do it. But, you know, that's how it is. All right, here we go. Let's get into these stories. We got Kevin Spacey to start. This is just interesting to me because this demonstrates a little bit the flexibility of court. A lot of people misunderstand how, like, the legal system ends up working, because the legal system is a structure. It's built over centuries. It's codified in statutes. It's codified in, these decisions that become the basis of what's called the common law. The common law is built out of how the law is applied over years and years and years. And again, starting with skunk murderer. Yeah, I killed lots of those. Killed raccoons too. Starting back in like the 1400s, you have these laws starting to be applied to the court system, and they get built and built and built. And so, yeah, the common law develops and flows out as judges are making rulings and giving guidance to other judges. And higher courts can correct lower courts, right? And then go ahead and like start saying, no, this is the stability we're looking for. We're looking for an articulable system of law that can be understood and applied by the everyman. Now, it's not that simple in practice, but that's the idea. But you have this structure, that happens in this set of rules that exists, and it gives predictability. Like I said, it gives stability, and it gives an expectation for everybody involved of what will happen. But what people don't kind of get, and you see it a lot on the internet when people talking about law, is that once you get to the point where you're actually practicing this stuff in a courtroom or whatever, and I know you make all your non-practicing jokes you want, like I'm not talking about me, I'm talking about other people. What you find is that structure breaks down often in the face of reality. Lawyers are busy, for example. And so, they'll have, and fuck the lawyers. Courts are very busy and packed and overbooked. So you'll have rules that say something needs to happen within X amount of days. And if it can't happen within X amount of days, it should be in favor of someone. But if the court calendar just can't support it, the court's going to say, sorry, too fucking bad. Like, is this prejudicial to you? Does this somehow harm you? If it does, maybe we can squeeze you in, cancel something else. But if it's not prejudicial to anybody, well, you're just going to wait an extra week, an extra 20 days, an extra 60 days. And that's how it's going to go. So these rules and structures exist. They're not just guidelines either. They're very real. But also, there's flexibility here. And this is a good example of it. Why does Nick have an Xbox Series X on a similar background? Kyan Rennell, that's a fridge. It's a mini fridge. But yeah. So here we go. So Kevin Spacey wins a ruling in the UK civil trial over sexual assault claim, which again, the plaintiff in that case should be happy that Kevin Spacey gets to take him to court, because all of the other accusers he took to the grave. Here we go. So Kevin Spacey has won a bid to fight a civil trial over an allegation that he sexually assaulted a man. Kevin Spacey's like, no, he was a boy. Get it right. The man claims he was assaulted in 2008 and as a result has suffered psychiatric damage and financial loss. The civil claim was paused after Mr. Spacey was charged and later acquitted in criminal proceedings of a number of sexual offenses. So yeah, go Kevy. He's over there winning. Can't stop winning. We're going to get tired of winning. The hearing comes after the Star denied allegations of inappropriate behavior aired in a documentary on Channel 4. Spacey Unmasked, which was broadcast on Monday, featured testimony from several men. Let's see. Buckmaster says, why would you not call him a pedophile? Well, I said, yeah, basically. The meaning of pedophile is anyone who's sexually attracted to children. Okay, so there are weird people who would try to distinguish between a pedophile and a hebephile. I don't want to do that. Like, that's, to me, it's like, if it's an inappropriate attraction, pedophile works for me just fine. Like, go ahead and just do that. But Kevin Spacey's character doesn't demonstrate an inappropriate attraction to children. It's a person who might be underage. Again, it's ambiguous in the film. And I don't think the point is whether or not the number is distinctly pedophilic. I think the point in the movie is that it's an inappropriate relationship either way. And that, again, merits the transgression. Right at the start, when he starts talking to this girl, like his daughter brings her friend over, he starts talking, he's like really creepy and gross talking to the girl. And many people out there have probably seen a weird relative who does that. But like, like a teenage kid in the family brings over someone, and like that weird uncle's like, hey, hi, how are you? And they start doing it, and you're like, oh God. Like, believe me, I have second cousins who've said some weird shit. Or wait, no, it's not. First cousins once removed or whatever. They said some weird shit. And I'm like, bro, that's not, no. I look like a Gillette commercial. Nah, bro. Nah. It's weird. But that's the thing. The character is not focused on being pedophilic or not. It's the fact that this relationship is 100% inappropriate in all circumstances, even in his freedom mindset that he's in. So, but yeah, I don't know. If she's underage, definitely pedophilic in my opinion, but it's an ambiguous age. Either way, bad relationship, he gets punished, he dies. Good job, Kevin Spacey. Genuine error. Last year, Spacey was found not guilty of all charges of sexual assault against 4 men between 2001 and 2013, which is a slow day for Kevin Spacey when you really think about it. One of those 4 complainants who's been granted anonymity by the court. Isn't that nice? Isn't it nice that they get to be, as adults, granted anonymity? This is a UK court, right? Well, I'm anonymous going after Kevin Spacey because so no one can look into this person. No one can challenge the allegation. And this is where the United States is headed. We're headed towards this idea that goes away from your right to confront your accusers and the right to open courts to protection of the victim. But it's like, are they a victim yet? They haven't been adjudicated a victim. They just allege an offense. And alleging an allegation of an offense doesn't make someone a victim and someone else a perpetrator. We're starting to forget that in this country as far as the legal system goes. Now, colloquially, someone can make their own determinations about people. They can say, you're a pedophile all day. You can say that. You can form that opinion. So that can happen. People can make that assessment of someone and say it. It happens all the time. And shockingly, people aren't losing civil suits on it constantly. It's weird how that works. But there is a difference between the court system and people speaking colloquially. So once you make an allegation that's official, you're going in and trying to leverage the government against someone. Well, their rights kick in the U.S. And the rights there are, an open courtroom and then the right to confront your accusers. You don't get to have a masked accuser like a new shitty reality TV show. The accusers have to sit there and they have to face questions about who they are, why they're doing this, what motivations they may have. Is this real? Did this happen? But in the UK, those are curtailed even further. They're curtailed even further because the Brits have never really respected individual rights. They say they do, but over and over again, they really don't. Right? You can see it not happening constantly in England. Ask Count Dankula, like how much his free speech was appreciated. Wasn't even his speech, it was his dog. But that being said, you have the UK, you have this different system of reduced rights versus the US, and one of those is a protection of alleged victims of sexual assault. They get anonymity. So no one gets to even look into who this person is unless they know about it. This person separately sued Spacey in a civil lawsuit at London's High Court in July 2022. Lawsuit was paused till the outcome of the criminal trial. Earlier this year, judge granted the unknown man a judgment in default, a ruling in his favor without a trial after Kevin Spacey's lawyers failed to serve a defense to the lawsuit in time. In court on Tuesday, Adam Specker, KC, Kevin Spacey's lawyer, said this is a genuine error by his legal team and argued that it would be unfair for the claim. They didn't write the word "be." It would be unfair for the claimant to effectively win his lawsuit against Spacey without trial when he had been disbelieved on oath by a jury. Judge Jeremy Cook overturned the judgment in default against the actor. He said defendant's solicitors have made an error. In my view, that error should not be visited upon the defendant. And that's a really good argument. Spacey was not in attendance and a date for the trial is yet to be confirmed. Spacey spoke to former GB News presenter Dan Wooten ahead of the documentary and said he would not allow himself to be baselessly attacked without defending himself. Spacey told Wooten you shouldn't do the documentary anyway. I take full responsibility for my past behavior and my actions, but I cannot and will not take responsibility or apologize to anyone who's made up stuff about me or exaggerated stories about me. Well, those people tend to end up dead. But yeah, you have this thing where the law and the rules butt up against reality. Legal team made a mistake. That's not our client's fault, judge. And this happens rather frequently. I think people don't realize the practicality and the flexibility of the law in action in court systems. You still have people involved. You still have people involved, and those people will screw up over and over and over again. It's great. But yeah, so here we have this thing. I want to talk about it a little bit because it's Kevin Spacey, and I'm very suspicious of all of his, not of the allegations. I'm suspicious of why everybody keeps dying. But no, Spacey has largely managed to avoid any sort of legal recourse for the allegations against him. The thing I really hate the fact that, for example, I like the movie American Beauty. Kevin Spacey is the main character. Whenever you bring up the movie, they're like, ew, that's the pedo thing. It's like, or like Kevin Spacey's a piece of shit. It's like, yeah, but most of these people are. And like, can we just appreciate the movie or whatever? Like, I can like the movie. Anyway, I hate that. I hate that shit because it turns good properties into bad things. It takes the character of a person involved and applies it to the art. And it's like, well, I mean, don't worry. The character of the person involved can definitely influence the art. Absolutely. You have these weird woke people or whatever, and they're creating art that's garbage because they're garbage people who deserve to be in a dumpster and not a pleasant one, not like a spacious dumpster. But the art itself stands and speaks, and absent that influence, if the influence of the person creating it isn't there and changing shit up, making it a bad play or bad thing, then, you know, it's still what it was before the accusation. And before the accusations against Spacey, you know, most of these works that he's in are well-regarded films or television series or whatever, impressions of Christopher Walken. They're all well-done things. Those don't become not well done because he later has turned out to be a piece of shit, right? Like Bill Cosby was an excellent pharmacist, and just because a bunch of women alleged a bunch of shit about him drugging them without their consent, like that doesn't make him a bad pharmacist. He was a very good pharmacist. So let's see. So yeah, that's a brief story. I didn't want to talk about it too long, but it's just interesting. Even in the UK, and something to be aware of in all of these court systems, all of the Western court systems, especially based on the English common law, which is what most of our legal structure is based on, the English common law. There's a little bit of this, the Roman common law down that's applied in Louisiana. The Roman law, like the Roman system of property management, basically. Like Louisiana is the only state that does that. The rest of it is the English common law. Any Western civilized court is going to push away from individual rights and liberties. It's going to push away from the presumption of innocence. It's going to push away from rights of the accused and the defendant. And what they're going to do, they're already doing this. What they're going to do is do what they've always wanted, which is to implement civil control through an apparatus of government with an adequate excuse. And the adequate excuse for not respecting the right of the defendant is to make the rights of the victims, even though they're not adjudicated victims during the pendency of the trial, the rights of the victims paramount over the rights of the accused. Now, mind you, the accused is accused. The victims should not be victims yet. They should be alleged victims, but they're not. They're always treated as if they are victims. And if they are victims, they deserve all of the rights in the world. And it would be very, very harmful to not recognize their victimhood if it turns out that they were victims and they were disbelieved. So they default. They're not. This isn't an error. They default on the side of alleged victims rather than defaulting on the side of the defendant. And the defendant is the one who's supposed to be receiving the deferential treatment. They're the one who's right to innocence before proof of guilt beyond a reasonable doubt has occurred. That's being curtailed. That's being brought back. But why? Is it actually about the victims? No, it never is. It's always about the government expanding its own authority and power, because that's what government do. It do it every time. Always expands its authority and power, and the utilization of a civic issue like racial equity or equality, gender equality, the protection of victims, rehabilitation of disenfranchised populations. Any of these concepts that are slung out that sound like they come from a remedial social studies textbook, they're all in service of the government's interests to control the citizenry and to curtail the presumption of innocence, to curtail your right to a fair trial, your right to just about goddamn near anything. Because if you know you have no rights, then the system itself is set up to imprison you, not to seek justice. And if the system is set up to imprison you, you'll work your way to obey the government to keep the system at bay. Let's see. What do we have next? The next story. So do we want to get into these damn pedo teachers or the trans athletes? Trans athletes is, don't get into the pedo teachers. That's gross. Trans athletes is a little shorter story. So maybe we'll do that one first. And then we can flop over to Rumble in a little bit. Oh my goodness, guys, I'm exhausted today. West Virginia middle school students barred from track meet after protesting transgender athletes' inclusion. West Virginia's Attorney General, I have your backs. Don't say that to middle school students, you weirdo. Gross. West Virginia, which is the forgotten Virginia. Because nobody wants West Virginia. Except the South, I guess. Wait, no, that was the North that wanted West Virginia. Right? Virginia stayed in the South? I don't know my history that well. Which one was it? Which one were the cucks? You can decide what that means on your own. All right. West Virginia has this thing. Should we watch the video? Let's watch the video. Oh my. Dirk Diggler says trans athletes, great topics. It's not like we hear about it constantly for years now. I could talk about Jews, but we've been talking about them since 1938. Ben Shapiro. Wait, what the fuck is this? These are top sports headlines. Fuck, I wanted the... Why isn't there a video about West Virginia? West Virginia. Oh. I don't want to support... God damn it. Never mind. Talk about Jewish trans athletes. Well, normally they'd peel off the foreskin, like to create or peel off the forearm skins. I burned that joke. Harder than a cross in Georgia. They'd peel off the forearm skin, right, to like grow the prosthetic replacement penis or whatever. But the Jewish ones are this much shorter. It's weird. There's my Jewish trans thing. Last week, 5 middle school girls were barred from competing in a track and field event. It's really a benefit to the track and field event. After protesting a court's ruling to block enforcement of the state's Save Women's Sports Act. Oh my God. The funny thing, like, so the Save Women's Sports Act probably means no transies in the women's sports or whatever. But wouldn't it be funny if the Save Women's Sports Act was specifically to bring men into them, like as trans though, but not like actual trans, like the J. Edgar Hoover trans, like Dennis Rodman or whatever. Like if Rodman showed up in a wedding dress and was just dunking all over the fucking place, that'd be great. Like that would make women's sports way funnier. Or if it was like The Masked Singer, which is this show, it's like a singing show with celebrities, but all of them are in they're all in like a mascot costume or whatever, and you don't know who it is. Like, oh, it's Corey Feldman. It's like, wait, is he getting touched again? But that's what they do. What if they did that though, where it's like they have a sport. It's like, let's say it's hockey, but everyone has to dress up like a goth bride, like all of them. But one of them's actually a trans man. It just fucking destroys the rest of them. Women even allowed to play hockey? I know they handle sticks with their hands a lot, but skating seems hard. Let's see. The state's law prohibited transgender girls. That's even more offensive than transgender women, right? Like, these transgender girls, they have to be minors. And we go, I mean, but minors are stupid. At the end of the day, so well, they believe they're the different gender. You know, like, they believe in Santa Claus until they're like 14. They're fucking dumb. Like, minors aren't smart at all. Minors have sex with Jared Fogle. They're fucking idiots. Stupid minors. Anyway, prohibited transgender girls from competing against biological girls in sports. That should be like shirts versus skins, right? Like, the shirts would be the biological girls running around. The skins would be, the trans, like, because they can't have had breast creation surgery as middle school students, can they? Is it a bunch of trans male to female trans middle schoolers running around with like double D cans? Like, that'd be fucking weird. How do they why are these even conversations we are having? Why are these questions that get asked? None of this should enter the cultural zeitgeist. No one should wonder if they're doing female breast enlargement on fucking male to female trans who are still middle schoolers. Like, that should be reserved for Southeast Asian countries that no one remembers the name of. State law prohibited transgender girls from competing against biological girls in sports. It was no competition, Alex. But in a 2-1 ruling, the 4th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals found the law violated Title IX, siding with the ACLU, its West Virginia chapter, and Lambda Legal. Outkick notes that the students refused to participate in an event. So here you go. Yes. Title IX is a fucking travesty of law. But yeah, the ACLU and the West Virginia chapter and Lambda Legal, they're the ones who went ahead and supported the lawsuit against the law, say that it was bad. Outkick notes that the students refused to participate in the event due to transgender athletes' inclusion in the meet. So, why on earth do we care why a middle schooler or high schooler does or doesn't do anything? Again, they can't decide what breakfast cereal to eat. Like, they have to be handheld to put on clothes. Like, oh my God, middle school. We don't listen to these people at all. They're barely people under our legal system, but we're like, oh no, you believe you're different. Well, let's just go ahead and start medical procedures to change. No, middle schoolers change their mind all the time. Very bad people, really. Outkick notes, yeah, they refuse to participate. A biological male finished in first place in the shot put and second in the discus event. You have to wonder how butch the fucking discus winner was. Was that a trans also? Good Lord. What's your name? Randy. They throw like a fucking pizza dish across the earth. Video provided to Outkick shows the girl stepping into shot put circle, but stepping out without a throw, resulting in a foul and evidently a forfeit. Now, guys, I graduated in the year 2000 from Lakeville Senior High School in Minnesota. And interestingly, the shot put was dominated by a girl and an actual biological mountain, allegedly named Liz Podominic. They called her the Podominator. And I'm pretty sure like the basketball players who are all shorter and smaller than her, even the black ones, except Drax, who is about the same height as Liz's penis. They're like, God, I wish that thing would wreck me. Right? Like in the locker room, fiercely with a towel on and a steamy shower. Cause like, this is a big girl. Liz Podominic. I think she went to the Olympics and she would sit there like, that was a meaty fucking female, but that was a biological female. Right? It was just made from a stock that was born out of a Chinese lab that took Nordic blood and mixed it with fucking blue whales or whatever. It was a big. She could throw a shot put very far. Did really well. If a trans athlete came into that, Liz would probably actually beat them at the shot put. Because this was this is a high level athlete, like a prodigious athlete. And they always point to someone like that. They're always like, well, this one woman can beat this male to female trans. It's like, yeah, but if they were competing in men's sports, though, this male to female trans would be like number 480,000. And they're number 2 in women's now because one chick is freakishly oversized and built for shot put, really. See, should we watch the video? You can do that. Here we go. Oh my God.
I found out about you. I think this is where the nation really found out about who you were, because unfortunately you were impacted in playing volleyball in a way that unfortunately is becoming more and more common. But take us to that game your senior year where ultimately the trajectory of your life changed.
Yeah, so we went into this.
Which one's Riley
game
Gates?
against
That's the one on the right.
Which
one's a boy?
We all knew there was a boy on the team. It was like kind of rumored, but it was like pretty obvious also. So everyone knew. We didn't want to play them, but we had no choice because they were in our conference. So we were forced to by our North Carolina High School Athletic Association. And we go into this game, and I just remember seeing like.
This sounds like every white girl that works at a Starbucks in Texas. I know this because half of them are my cousins. Carrie says, Nick, can you answer my question from last night? Is it possible for the Supreme Court to intervene with Trump's case without his lawyers even asking for help or something? Want to hear what you think. Thank you. No, the Supreme Court cannot create a case and answer it. And they cannot answer an inquiry. There has to be a case or controversy. They have to have jurisdiction over it. And it has to be, they have to be asked the question. So they cannot, the Supreme Court cannot sua sponte answer these questions. I shouldn't say that. I don't know who could stop the Supreme Court from sua sponte. That means on the court's own motion, issuing an order. I don't know who could stop them from doing it. The question would be, would anybody have to follow it?
I was pretty scared playing against him. So was everyone else on my team. We had a really young team, and they had never seen him before. He was the same age as me, so I've seen him all 4 years.
How sexist or whatever.
During COVID, that kind of like cut all of our sports and stuff in half. So like we didn't really see each other that much, and he didn't hit puberty until like usually when boys hit puberty. So that's when it got worse or whatever. But I remember going into this game and seeing like the faces of all the younger girls on the team who had never had to play him before, and they were literally shaking. They were so scared. And
okay. Like, I love that she said they were literally shaking, because that means like internet nomenclature is or parlance or whatever is so infecting normal conversation. Someone's like, they were literally shaking right then because they went, that's a boy. That's a difference, right, between men and women's sports. Like, if there's a male to female trans that goes into women's sports, the women literally shake. If there's a female to male trans that goes to prison, all of them try to have sex with it.
Whole week leading up to the game, we had to practice differently to prepare to play against him, because no one else hit the way he did in the whole conference that we went up against. And I've talked to like different girls from different
No one else hit it the way he did? Okay.
Areas, and they had to do the same thing.
Must have been
Their
football.
teams practice differently to prepare to play against this individual, and which is completely ridiculous and like messes up the whole, like your whole like plan for.
Look, I'm actually on the side, I guess, of these alleged females, and they're talking about like, I don't want trans men dominating women. I want real men dominating women. I think that's way funnier. Like, I want open and unabashed, ironic trans identities going in. I want Shaq dunking on bitches. I want fucking Bob Sapp to go in and fight Holly Holm, right? Like, I want hilarity to ensue. I don't want Bob Sapp in a dress or with like bigger tits than he already has, or like a, like a an addiction to bric-a-brac or whatever he'd need to be to qualify as a trans woman. I want big fucking dude to go in there and just drop hammer hands on him. I do not want to see any sort of hormone replacement therapy for these asterisk bitches. I want the funniest outcome possible. And it is not them actually going in and like doing surgeries and all that shit, being like, yeah, I'm trans. Like, now I can play. Like, no. I want the most overly muscle-bound, retarded athlete to go out and just destroy everything, because it would be worth watching. Have you guys ever seen the clip? It's like, oh God, it's the worst. There's like a basketball game and there's a kid in a wheelchair, like one of those that they have to like move with their mouth or whatever. And they're a player on the team. And one of the players that has legs, so should be playing basketball, goes up to the one with a motor, and like they're holding the ball and they like hand it to the one with the motor. He's like, yay. And they lean back and they're going to shoot the basketball. And like an able-bodied young black kid comes up and he just jumps and he just volleyball spikes the basketball into the fucking earth. And you're like, yes, that's right. Show Wheelie what's up. Get wrecked. Oh, you think you can shoot a 2-pointer? Oh my God. Ugh. Take up your complaint with your creator, fucker. You got stuffed harder than Stormy Daniels at a Trump rally. Ugh. God, it's so satisfying, because one's like, here you go. Here's your one shot. And they're like, yay, I didn't get to play, like Rudy or whatever, that shitty Rudy, the one with Sean Astin, the true story of Sean Astin's life. Where like, you look big, but you're actually smaller than Tom Cruise. Like his whole life. He's like, no, put me in, coach. I'm a football player. And his coach is like, oh God, you've got the body of a Chinese female gymnast. And he comes and he's like, he gets one play at the end of the season. He's like, it's inconsequential. Yeah, Sean Astin. That's what this person was about to do. But it was made consequential because like a black urban youth stole their moment from them by spiking the ball and doing a volleyball audition on a basketball court. And it was satisfying. Why did I start talking about this? Oh yeah. I wasn't paying attention to these two women.
In general.
Exactly. Strategy.
Yeah. So
Rather Games podcast seems good.
You know, I didn't know. We didn't really know what to do. And like looking back, this really wasn't like, you didn't really talk about this issue as much as we do now. So I feel like if it was now.
Looking back, we didn't talk about the issue as much as we do now. Well, if you look back, we had sensibility and we're like, trans kids, what the fuck are those? You mean the weird ones? Like Adam Lanza or whatever? That was a disaster. Like trans kids, those are kids. They don't know shit about themselves. And they're like, oh, I'm a female. Do you even know what women are? Matt Walsh still doesn't. Ben Shapiro's wife's trying to tell him about how like wet-ass pussies don't exist because she doesn't want to embarrass him. You're out here thinking that these goddamn kids know anything about this? That's when we had sensibility. Now we're like, oh, no, the kid knows. The kid knows. The doctor doesn't even know. That's a funny thing about like trans youth. Like the psychiatrists and shit, they all analyze these kids and they're all like, yeah, we might diagnose this with gender dysmorphia. It's like, how? Well, because they say they don't understand. Well, just because they say it doesn't mean they don't actually understand. They may not understand that their understanding of their own body is like a common understanding. It's a common thing to not like be comfortable in who you are as a middle schooler. Like because you're in like 7th or 8th grade and you're a piece of garbage and everybody just goes ahead and tells you that, including your teachers and everybody else. Like people are developing, they're developing at different speeds. They're all very uncomfortable. Most of them are gay for a while or whatever. And then they sort themselves out and become proper society members. Like someone in Alabama when they hit 65. But they do this. And now we used to just let kids be fucked up kids, right? And now what we do is we put them on the fast track to suicide. And you're not just a fucked up kid, you're a fucked up kid of a different gender. We don't want you cutting, but we'll cut your penis off for you. And we're like, holy shit, like that seems drastic. And I'm like, oh, and play sports. It'll build character. And you're like, why? I'm putting my toaster in my bathtub tomorrow. We didn't used to talk about this, but we're talking about it more now. Yeah, it's because it literally wasn't an issue, and now it's being forced onto you as an issue.
Now we just wouldn't have played, but at the time we had no idea what to do. Like we come from an area that I never thought like this would. We never thought we'd have to see this coming from where we come from because this just doesn't happen.
So you got male inmates wearing like these, you know how the hospital gown for a female, how it looks.
Who the fuck is this guy on the left? Why is it weird? Like, that guy's accent's strange. 11B infantry. He's got a roadcaster mic with a road on the label. Look, as a male streamer, I would not have anything on my camera display that says road. First of all, it's bad grammar. It's ridden. Second of all, means you're a bottom. In God we trust, not government. Which one rode you, brother?
You got them walking around the yard. And for somebody that joined the prison system in 2006, that's, it just looks odd and out of place to be seeing male inmates walking around in muumuus and makeup, blush, lipstick. Not to mention that can be an escape paraphernalia, changing your identity.
An escape paraphernalia?
Or if somebody's not privy to it. And then, of course, the sexual realignment surgeries. Oh, my goodness. Absolutely, 100%. There was one at Donovan State Prison. Again, I did not work at a female prison, but I worked at Donovan that housed numerous.
Oh, my God. This guy sounds like a Mexican rapper, but he's white. I worked at Donovan, housed numerous dangerous individuals. Does anybody know who this guy is? I literally have no idea who the guy talking is. He's weird. But Gains for Girls is like a podcast by Riley Gaines, who, by the way, props to Riley Gaines. Great abs, excellent advocate, very smart, and then created a podcast to make money. Go for it. I like it. Very good. Some army grunt with a weird accent. No, don't know, some flag. How did he work there? You're right. The guy's a few surfboards, a shirt of a surf shop. Isn't he the one dude that went on Joe Rogan talking about cartels? Oh, maybe he is Hispanic. He's talking about cartels. He's a SoCal Cholo. I literally have no idea. I've never heard of this person. They don't have their names on there. It's Riley Gaines. Here she just looks like she took a hit of indica. But Riley Gaines, there was something lately where she like posted a picture with abs and people were like mad about it or whatever. Battle Elf says, I saw a dude putting on makeup in the locker room at Lifetime. It broke me. Wait, you went into a locker room at Lifetime and looked at other people? How gay are you? On a scale of Richard Simmons to Elton John, how gay are you? Zero Smoke says to KDM, according to Nick, he's in the best shape of his life. Yeah, do you understand like what relative comparisons mean? I'm in the best shape of my life. That chick that used to weigh 1,000 pounds now weighs 550. She's in the best shape of her life too, except when she was born at 600 pounds. But so fucking funny to me. It's I still want to know who this fucking guy is. No, I've said very openly, and I think it's significant. The numbers on my health, my blood test and shit, they're all better than they've ever been, which surprises me, right? Because I got sick. I went into the doctor. I'm like, what the fuck's going on? They do blood tests and they're like, actually, and all the numbers are in the like good area. I'm like, oh wow, that's weird. I figured I don't take care of myself. I do all sorts of bad stuff. I drink whiskey like it were water and I was gay. Like too much. Like, are you sure you don't have someone else's liver in there? Like I could pee into a cup if you need it And what you'll find is Jack Daniel. Like you will find a shit whiskey coming out of my urethra because my liver can only filter out so much goodness. Like I get it, but I'm always surprised when I go in the numbers are good. But it's not my physical health that's an issue here. I've been pretty open about this. My mental health has been, troubled. You go through shit in your life. And it's weird that people are afraid to say this, and it's weirder that people are afraid to like acknowledge that it happens. But life's a roller coaster. Red Hot Chili Peppers taught us that. Well, no, that was like love. Your love is like roller, but you get it. Like there's ups, there's downs, and the reality of streaming is that you're on all the time. You have two options. You can suck it up and like try to pretend for every stream, or you can acknowledge the fact that yeah, you know what? Sometimes life's kind of fucking hard. And you still have to go through it. And you know there's good parts coming out the back end of it. Never mind that I said that. That was gay. You know there's good parts on the horizon or whatever. Like a flat earth that doesn't have a horizon. But you got to acknowledge that sometimes life's fucking hard. When it rains, it pours or whatever. And sometimes it pours out nails and grenades. And you get to that spot. Physically, I've been great. Mentally, it's taxing. It's stressful. It's hard. You're like, oh, your job, you're a streamer. You come a couple hours a day. That's not the hard part. The hard part is all the rest of life that piles up on you. You have to deal with it. And you just do. Like sometimes you have to deal with it. It's great. By great, I mean, some people put bullets in their head for the same shit. And you go, that's an option I don't want to do. So the thing is, you endure through the day, you work on it, you try and stabilize it as best you can, but everything takes time. People are like, I'm so worried about your physical health. I'm like, oh my God, don't worry about my physical health. It's fine. I'm a little underweight. I'm gaining it back, but that's due to literal illness. Like, I don't have cancer. I have massive fucking stress and anxiety over real life shit. That's in many ways worse and better. Speaking of cancer, I do have to do this. A friend of mine just died from cancer. His visitation, his celebration of life. I fucking hate celebrations of life. Call it a funeral. Let people be depressed or whatever. That's this weekend. And to Mike, a better man than most. You always wonder why a piece of shit can't die. And why a good person has to go. Cheers. People are like, oh, you have AIDS or whatever. I'm like, yes, but I've had AIDS since Magic Johnson got it and I had sex with him. Stop doing that. It's not the physical shit. It doesn't matter. The mental shit stacks up and you have to deal with it. And when you're a person who broadcasts live, you have to deal with it live. I choose not to act as much as possible. Sometimes I cancel shows because it's hard for me to do them. Other times I do a show and I might be like down or depressed or dour or whatever. It comes through. You try not to have it happen. And then other times you do a show and you're in a good mood because like the day was great. It's fine. But life gets more and more complicated as you go on. You stack up baggage, man. It's like every time you move as an adult, every time you move, you're like, holy fuck, this took longer this time than last time. Last time it was easy. We didn't own anything. This time, holy shit, we own like 2 houses worth of stuff that was in one apartment. And then you go, and you have to hire more and more other people to help out, or you have to enlist more and more friends, and you hope that you made them as you go, because as adults, making friends is difficult, right? Unless you like give them other stuff like Pokemon cards or whatever. You're like, here, I've got a Charizard. Will you be my friend? That's how you befriend Dick Masterson, by the way. You give him a gay Pokemon card and he's instantly your buddy. But you hope that with each subsequent move, like you have a bigger and bigger social network to help you out because your life gets bigger and more complicated. That's the same with literally fucking everything. It's an analogy for how life progresses as an adult. Everything becomes more and more complicated. Everything gets more opportunities for shit to be thrown into it. And so every task becomes bigger and bigger. Sometimes when shit hits a delta, right, it all floods at once. Like a bunch of women looking at Brad Pitt. Dear God, the smell. And also the moans. And Brad Pitt's probably gay. Because Angelina probably has a penis. How do you think she got so many African babies? She has to have some Nicaraguan babies or whatever. Nicaraguan babies, YouTube. I didn't say the other one. But no, it's like it's just how it goes. But that's why I tell you guys, I'm like, no, like seriously, physically, I'm in great shape. Mentally, it's rocky some days. That's how it goes, guys. It's okay. I'm not gonna die, probably, maybe. I don't know. I haven't contemplated my orb lately. Whenever like looked at the fucking crystal ball, like, oh God, am I palm reading now? Guys, if I ever talk to you about going to the tarot reader or whatever, like just assume I probably already have committed suicide. But until that happens, man, life just gets hard sometimes, and people get weird about it. Oh, you're thin, yeah. No, I know. That there's a physical explanation for that isn't AIDS. That shit doesn't concern me. What concerns me is, when you look at Benadryl and go, how many? Not for me. I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about DNR workers or whatever. Because they all deserve so much Benadryl. Okay, we're going to flip over to Rumble. That was weird and very serious. We shouldn't do that here. Pony Up says, I think the bigger risk would be if the Supreme Court issued an order and no one listened. What's the risk? It would lower their authority or standing, and they'd want to avoid that. Why? If no one listens to the Supreme Court, what happens? The Supreme Court issues another ruling. We saw this in Arkansas this year. Or was it Alabama? One of the A states in the South, not Alaska, the one that doesn't exist. An A state in the South. They drew a congressional map. It was racist because they didn't consider black people hard enough. And so the Supreme Court sent back a ruling that says, you need to comply with this. And they said, lol, no, we don't, fags. I'm still on YouTube. Faggots. Sorry, I got to say it properly. You bundles of sticks, except for Clarence Thomas, you're cool, brother. You're already charred. And they're like, look, we don't have to listen to you guys. And they did it again. And the Supreme Court just issued another ruling. And that's how they do it. The Supreme Court always just issues another ruling. And eventually what happens is that the executive authority, which is the presidency and whatever military services they want to enlist, or the FBI, has to go into a state and potentially start a conflict and say, look, the Supreme Court said this. And you go, yeah, but the state of Texas doesn't recognize Elena Kagan. Definitely not Sotomayor. Papers, please, bitch, get across that border. Except you can't swim, you'll probably float. What if Texas just says no? Supreme Court's like, actually, Texas, you got to stop enforcing your gay little laws about little Elian Gonzalez babies. Elian Gonzalez is like 38 now. It has a 401k. But they're like, yeah, you got to stop exercising your authority on these little Colombian babies or whatever. And Texas is like, fuck you. What's CIA going to do? Like, what's the FBI, CIA, Department of Homeland Security? What are they going to do to Texas? You're going to go arrest Greg Abbott or Ken Paxton? No, you're not going to. Can't do that shit. You're going to sanction Texas by issuing an order that makes them comply with the first order? What if they just say no? And everybody forgets that that's a practical element of all of law in America. Is what if the opposing party just says, nah, fuck off? Ben Frail says, haven't you seen Civil War yet? No. Why would I watch that? But yeah, it's a weird situation because it doesn't actually lower the authority of the Supreme Court. In a way, it kind of raises the authority of the state or the executive or legislative branch that is defying the court. But it doesn't diminish the court itself. It has a one-sided effect. Here we go. Pony Up says, I think, oh, wait, we read that one. Carrie says, you may not realize this, but we care about you. No, I know. That's why I try and tell you, like, as best I can what's going on. If I thought you didn't care about me, I just wouldn't talk about it at all. But no, I try to tell people, no, actually, physically, I'm in way better shape than expected. Guys, I live like garbage. I drink more alcohol than should be allowed. Like, if we lived in a Chi-Com country, they would regulate my alcohol intake. I got it. My liver's doing well. I don't know how. I don't know what Chinese food is curing it. I'm not sure. Maybe it's the Mei Foon at Panda Garden. I don't know. Maybe it's that weird like chicken that's ambiguously shaped. It kind of looks like a gopher, or it looks like the hand of a dissident sometimes. It's like fried. It's got that red coating on it to make it. It's like, it's not quite chicken. Maybe it's that. I'm not sure. The numbers defy the reality. I get it. Everybody doesn't believe me because I don't believe them. I don't believe the doctor, but they're a doctor. They're not retarded, right? But I'm trying to tell people, no, physically fine. Like, don't worry about that shit. Like, obviously a little underweight. Easy explanation for that. It's not fake. The other explanation is real. Stress and anxiety. Brutal. With that, speaking of stress and anxiety, let's go to Rumble. That's not a good ad for them. But who fucking cares? See you guys in 25 seconds on Rumble. If you want to follow us from YouTube to Rumble, like you would follow Taylor Swift, go to the pinned chat in the comments, go to the description on YouTube, click the like button, and then click the link. Get over to Rumble. 25 seconds will be exclusively over there. We'll continue the show. And then we'll see you guys tomorrow. If you don't come, why did you work so hard? Peace.